A 3, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and...
That's good, I'm impressed. We're so good at this now.
Smashed it. Hello and welcome to the Loki preview podcast. Well, we've done this for Falcon Winter Soldier. Did alright, so we thought, let's just do it again. Content. So,
Content.
We just watched the Loki trailer again, just to
refresh.
Refresh the brain.
Exactly.
Thoughts?
The main thing I'm really excited for with this is Owen Wilson. Just because I love Owen Wilson. And the fact that he's joined the MCU is the best thing that's ever happened.
Do you think Owen Wilson sticks around the MCU after this? Or one series and done?
I really hope he sticks around because it has the same feel to it, his character and sort of appearance in it, as Martin Freeman's sort of character, where it feels like he's going to be in it and then go.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, no, he seems like, because he's so good anyway. And him in this and his, even just from the trailer, seeing his dynamic with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, looks like it's going to be one of the funniest dynamics we've seen in the MCU.
Definitely.
So I really hope he sticks around. But that's all going to be, like, we can't say that until we've seen the result of Loki. Because until we know what happens at the end of Loki, we can't really say if we want him to stick around. Because things that happen, we go, no, we don't want him sticking around. But as of just watching the trailer, I'd like him to stick around. Do you hope, or do you want him to be like he was in Loki and then that was it?
Well, you don't know whether the trailer doesn't make it clear whether Owen Wilson's character is actively a protagonist, if he's more of a gonna end up turning into more like a antagonist, if he's got more nefarious than he is revealing.
Yeah, and I think that's something this trailer did so well, is it doesn't show that for anyone. Even like Loki, really, it shows so much variant to every character's motives. And that, I think, is going to be one of the great things for this series. It's quite similar to when WandaVision came out and people didn't quite know, like when we went through the series, whether Wanda had good intentions or not. And it's similar now, but even just from the trailer, we're like, we don't know anyone's motives.
No.
We know the goal, like we know that, like from the trailer, we know Owen Wilson's character. I don't know what his name is. Do we know what his name is yet?
Probably
we probably
somewhere,
do, but I don't know what it is.
Owen Wilson.
Yes. We know what he wants to do. He wants that time is broken because of Loki. He wants reality and the timeline to be fixed. We know that, but what we don't know is his intentions, like is an antagonist or protagonist, which I think is going to be good to see as it sort of goes on, as who is on whose side, if that makes sense. Not that but I don't think it'll be as simple as there's this side and there's that side.
Grey areas.
So I think it'll be, Owen Wilson wants this, but to do that he's got to do this, which could be seen as bad. Loki might be trying to do something like, this is what I see as good, but to this person it looks bad. So I think perspectives is going to play a big role in this as well.
Now, this show was rumoured before the Avengers Endgame. But I think it was rumoured after Loki's death. Now, I'm definitely glad that Loki's dead.
Yes.
Because he's died so many times.
It gets to the point.
And it's boring.
It turned into a meme. They died. Oh, he's not really dead. I'm like, it's not even funny anymore. It's just like
they could have not brought him back for this TV series, and I would have been.
I wouldn't have been too bothered. Yeah. But the fact they have, but it's not that Loki, I think is the best case here, really.
I mean, unlike WandaVision, which definitely acts as a mini-series, anyone asking for a WandaVision Series 2 clearly didn't watch the first series.
No.
And Falcon the Winter Soldier also kind of works as a mini-series. You could do a Series 2, but I'd rather do a Captain America 4.
Yeah, Series 2 would just have to be a film, I think, at this point. I don't think you could do a second series. I just think it leads nicely into another film.
Whereas this, as it's not necessarily spinning away from the MCU because it's still MCU.
I was going to say this, yeah.
But it's... One of the things we'll talk about is, unlike other series where, for example, we've had Sharon Carter pop up, we've had Darcy, Jimmy Woo pop up.
You won't.
I reckon there'll be something.
But they won't play a big role.
Like, this is spinning away from the MCU.
Yeah.
I reckon the most we'll get is a character from a different version or timeline. But this is now become a spin-off from the MCU. Therefore, this show can go on as long as Tom Hiddleston wants to do it.
And that's why I think this is going to be possibly the best series that we've seen from Marvel with the new Disney Plus stuff, because it's not limited to the current MCU. Like you said, both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier dealt with topics that were still relevant in the MCU. Like all of WandaVision stuff with Vision's death and Wanda going completely mad, and obviously Falcon and the Winter Soldier dealing with Steve's death, who's going to be kept. That is all still very relevant in the MCU, and it affects not only the characters in the series, but everyone.
Yeah.
Like everyone's affected, especially Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Loki has nothing to do with the MCU that we know, other than the fact that it's about Loki and what he's done. But we won't see, it won't link as massively. And that, I'm excited for that, because it means they have more free reign.
Definitely.
There's no preconceived, plot lines that they have to sort of stick to. Like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there were rules like, right, Steve is dead. Captain America has to live on, the shield's here. This has all happened. We need to know that's happened. But with Loki, it feels like they've got more free reign to sort of do what they feel is best, which is going to be interesting, I think, to watch.
Like, for example, WandaVision has to leave Wanda in a place where she can do something Doctor Strange too. And obviously it's telling that's a point, that's one of the reasons for telling that story, is that it puts Wanda in a position for Doctor Strange too. But, and also, for example, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, its goal is to set Sam up as Captain America. There is nothing predefined. I mean, this series was set up by something predefined in the films, but now that's happened, this show doesn't have... This show can kill off Loki in the 3rd episode.
Yeah. It won't really
and it
matter.
They won't do that.
No.
Because
but they could do, and it wouldn't really matter.
No, this show is not building to anything. It's not having to set up anything. It doesn't have to end in a specific place. And while that's a negative for other shows, because that works for other shows, ends up being a massive strength of this show, where it can do whatever it wants to tell the best story.
Yeah, it doesn't need to go... Loki needs to end up here for this next film. It's Loki. Loki's going to end up where they want him. There is nothing that they have to. There's no canon that they have to obey to here. Really, they can be like, this is the best. This is the best thing to happen for the aesthetic and the feeling of this series. So that's what we're going to do, and it's going to be. I'm so excited for Loki, to be honest. It's not even that long now, is it, as recorded?
It's June 9th, I believe.
I think it's 9th.
Well, I will probably upload this. I think that said 11th when it was still Fridays. I think it now then went to Wednesdays, which is June 9th. I will probably upload this. I'm hoping the Tuesday of. That would be a good plan. We're recording this about 2 weeks in advance.
Preparation.
So... Speaking of endless possibilities, almost, because they're not restrained, that also means multiple seasons is a possibility.
It does.
Now, would you rather they have a certain amount of ideas, say the best idea, for example, they feel is to end it at one series, Loki gets restored into the timeline by the end of the series, and therefore it follows the same arc, he dies at the end of Avengers Infinity War. Is that what you'd prefer if that was the best story to tell, or would you prefer, especially if Tom Hiddleston wants to make 3 or 4 series out of this?
How many episodes are there, do we know? And how long are they? Do we know this? Because we were told Falcon Winter Soldier 6 episodes, each one's just under an hour.
I believe it's the same, or roughly the same as Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right. You don't want the story to feel rushed. That's one thing you do not want. So if by the end of the series he is restored back into the timeline, he died in Infinity War, that's it. I'm okay with that, because that's what we knew. That's as far as we knew, that's what happened anyway. So it's not like we're losing anything from that being the case.
In fact, it just validates the middle of Avengers Endgame more.
Otherwise, it kind of ruins in a way a lot of Infinity War Endgame if that didn't, because this is where you get to the point where it's like, if someone dies in the MCU, have they even died? And if that's where it starts getting a bit, you're not going to care if people die now.
Yeah.
Because every time Loki died, I was like, well, I don't care. Like,
not really.
2 times in, you're like, right, he'll be back in the next film. It doesn't really matter. And that's where it gets risky. Where you're like, because when Iron Man died, that was very like, that shocked everyone. That was like,
that was final and should be final.
Yeah. And this is where you start to get into grey area of, oh yeah, he can come back. Like, Loki can come back. It's fine. It's like, but you play with that too much. And I'm worried they're going to start bringing other people back. And the whole thing with like coming back from a different timeline, that's a cop out for me.
Yeah.
That felt like when Gamora came back, and it was I was like, that is a cop out. That is a complete cop out. Just because it's like you're taking the emotion away from that scene then.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, yeah, but we took away, then we gave it back. You don't know what to think. I'm like, I do know what to think. Like, it feels lazy.
It's like when a TV show kill off a long-running character, more like a science fiction one. Then it's like, oh, this one's from a new timeline, just so we could keep around this actor we really like for like a bit. And it's like, well, no, they died. Let that have some emotional impact. Let that. Let's, for example, with Gamora. Let's see in Guardians 3 what not having Gamora does to Peter.
To the dynamic.
And also Nebula.
And the whole dynamic of the Guardians as a whole. Because people can say, oh, Hawkeye's irrelevant in the Avengers, or Drax doesn't matter. No one says that, but but you can say that, but it's like, well, no, you take any member out of anything, and it will feel different. You take Hawkeye out of the Avengers, as much as people say it doesn't matter, he's only an archer, blah, 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 it will still change the dynamic. And I think having Gamora not be in the third Guardians will change the dynamic, and that's what I want to see.
It affects the whole group, but it especially affects Peter and, quite frankly, Nebula.
Yeah.
Nebula was the most interesting in Avengers Endgame, where she didn't have to play in Gamora's shadow anymore.
And I think, but then by affecting Peter, that's then going to affect Groot and everyone around him.
So, slight side.
Yeah, going back, basically, I don't like this whole
Loki, like,
they're back in a different timeline.
Like, people have mentioned, somehow now Loki's going to end up in, like people talk about like Thor: Love and Thunder casting and go, he hasn't been confirmed yet, but surely Loki will find his way to sneak in. And I'm like,
no,
please don't.
Can we focus on the film and not?
God damn it! Like we wanted Loki back. You know what? This is an alright way for it to work because Loki, it hasn't come. Yeah, it's a different version of himself, but Loki, this is the difference. Gamora, different version, came back to the main timeline. Yeah. Loki has created his own arc spinning off, and that's where this show can do a lot of good. But I wouldn't want them to make, because I like focusing on different characters. Going back to the whole idea of multiple seasons versus one series, I wouldn't want them to not make a new series every year, especially because I'm not again. This isn't an argument for them never to create multiple series of one show. However, Loki's one of those who've been around for so long that if you create multiple series for that character, and that means other characters don't get the spotlight anymore, it's
a difficult one. It's so. But I think what they've done is the best thing they can do for Loki in this situation. I think what they've decided, what someone has absolutely knocked out of the park with the idea. They just need to nail it now. And I think that's such a common thing with just media in general, is the concept will be amazing.
Lots of ideas guys around at the moment.
And the execution of it is weak. I think that is so common in media now. Where you look at the idea and the concept, you go, that's such a good concept. Like on paper, that's amazing. You watch it executed and you're like, I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, my gut feeling is Loki won't be that. It'll be great concept and it actually works. But it's always the risk of great concept, the idea is amazing,
don't worry,
it flops.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I'm going to say this now, Loki fans like the hardcore Loki fans are the worst people on earth.
They're tough, aren't they?
I'm going to say that now. Loki fans, the worst people on earth. Because they will defend Loki to death. And whatever he does, however crap or good Loki is, they will say it's the best thing on earth. And that is what I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah.
That is the thing that is going to really, really, really get to me. Because it's like, they just, whatever he does, they're like, well done, you've done well. It's like, no.
Oh, Tom Hiddleston, oh, come to bed.
And don't get me wrong, Tom Hiddleston, great actor, Loki, amazing character. But, that doesn't mean you just blindly defend anything he's in.
And it's, you know, you see those posts on Facebook of like, oh, these are the superheroes that are like perfectly cast, and you'll see like Wolverine, obviously, and you'll see Robert Downey Jr. and you'll see Loki, and you're like, Tom Hiddleston is great, but I would put like Cap and like
it's like
that sort of thing. Not like Loki. No, probably like Thanos is probably better cast than.
And also like. It like people go, oh, Loki's such good casting. Well done. Like you said, like that's a good casting choice. But there are so many better casting choices in the MCU. But it's just people that love Tom Hiddleston and automatically
will defend him.
Whatever.
No matter what, defend the character choices. No matter what, like if like there are Loki fans who will defend like the murder and rebirth in like neither of those thought like. Loki could have been exiled in the first Thor and been like, right, I'm gonna fuck with Earth then.
Yeah.
That would have been class. Loki don't need to die in Thor the Dark World.
No.
And those death decisions, not by mainstream MCU fans who just have opinions, but by the Loki fandom. And I worry that this is going to be a toxic show to discuss.
Yeah, because I feel like wherever you say it, you're going to have the Loki fans that are like, oh, you just don't understand Loki as a character. And it's like, what do you mean? Like,
having an opinion.
What do you mean?
Doesn't mean I don't understand a character.
Because, like, you don't understand that, like, you can only understand a fictional character a certain amount. They're not real. It's like, there's only a certain amount you can know about a fictional character.
Yeah.
So the fact is like, oh, you don't understand him. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like that is, it's going to be so toxic to talk about Loki.
100%.
Anywhere. Because people are always going to be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So, alright. You're going to defend him whatever happens, so...
Sure.
Whatever you say, pal. That's going to be my response, is just going to be like, whatever you say.
Well, you say whatever you want.
And so we both know people who are going to be like this. Or at least one person who's going to be like this. And it's like, whatever you say. You do you at the end of the day.
So, how good are you expecting this show to be?
I'm expecting, from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be amazing.
Looks like it's
and
the
I
best one
want
yet.
it to be. I think it could. At the moment, I think we both agreed Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the best series. Out of WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Both fantastic.
Oh yeah, but I preferred Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I think Loki's going to overtake it. If it's what it promises. If they do what it promised in the trailers, we'll be fine. That's all it needs to do, really. Is just deliver the same quality we've seen in the trailers.
Be the Loki show that you can do a lot with that. I mean, it could end up being quite a funny show. You've got Owen Wilson.
I love that man.
As well as Loki.
And that's what I was saying earlier. The dynamic we've already seen in that trailer. That's like 2 minutes long. We've seen the dynamic of those two, and that is what I'm most excited for. Is that because that's something Marvel do so well, is adding comedy in places you wouldn't expect to see it.
Yeah.
And in a series like this that's dealing with time and all that, but having Loki and Owen Wilson, again don't know his name, it's going to be so good. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I hope so. I think Loki has a lot of potential. I think it might have a lack of connectivity to the MCU, which has both its positives and negatives. I think negatives it might struggle to engage, but I think overall it'll act as a positive. I just hope it's been granted that freedom. Use it.
Yeah.
You've got a chance to do some good things with the freedom.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin.
Big Kev.
If if you haven't used the freedom yet, you've got 14
Freedom.
days to do some reshoots, do the CGI, edit it all,
And get it done.
and give me credit. I want to be in those credits. Nerdy Brit, YT.
Wow.
I'm genuinely not sure if
We
there's
just
any much
outed
more. So
Kevin.
we did.
Sorry, Kev.
Sorry,
He's definitely
Kev, mate.
watching, by the way.
I'll come to the pub with us later.
Come watch the game with us, Kev.
Oh yeah, it's genuinely United.
Come watch it. Even
Villarreal,
you don't care.
tonight. You might not care, but big up United. I genuinely don't think there's anything
No,
else.
I think we've covered sort of all the...
We've covered the bases. It's one of those things where I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier one was probably more to talk about because we know more about it, more characters to talk about.
I think the fact that this is a shorter, like we've done when we did the fact this is shorter than that is testament to how good this series could be because we don't know anything.
No.
So we can't theorise about it. We can't say this is going to happen because we don't know anything.
All we know is it's Loki. It's Owen Wilson
dealing with time and it being
Time
messed up.
Variance Authority Association, and
they have to fix time.
Avengers Endgame fuck shit up like the Ancient One said it would.
She did warn them, to be fair.
Now they fix it.
Wouldn't surprise me, to be fair. She's so relevant. I don't think I'd care if she popped up, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd care.
she won't pop up,
but it wouldn't surprise me.
I
wouldn't care.
I'll definitely rank the episodes when the series is done. If a video concept pops up in the middle of it that I want to do, I'll do it. So thank you very much. Some Marvel videos will be in the card. Might put some in the description, maybe a playlist. And go subscribe to him. Seriously, guys. Like, if you haven't done it already, sort it out. Lack of standards.
I haven't said that in a while, have I?
Lack of standards.
Sort yourself out.
Anyway, peace.
Toodle pip. I said that at the end of all my videos now.
Toodle pip.